The key to leading people, even if you're not in a leadership environment, is again, influence. So the question now comes down, then how do I influence people? And if I do influence people, how do I increase that influence? And my answer is very simple. We increase the influence with people when we intentionally add value to them on a consistent basis. Think about people in your life that have a high influence on your life. They've really added a lot of value to you. And so what I share, I do a little simple formula that kind of works, and that is every day, again, consistency compounds. So you put consistency with intentionality, and you've got a powerful combination. So every day I basically do 5 things. Every day, first of all, I value people. It begins there. Because if I don't truly value people, I won't add value to them. You don't add value to people that you don't value. You don't add value to anything you don't value. So every day I value people. That's where it starts. But then every day I think of ways to add value to people. How can I add value to you? What can I do for impact theory that'll, just help? Because again, if you're constantly adding value to people, you're going to be of great value to people. So, okay, I value people, think of ways to add value to people, then I look for ways to add value to people. When I'm in the setting, I'm looking for, okay, what can I do? What can I say? But what we see is what we look for. And so if I'm looking to add value, guess what? I'll see ways to add value to it. Somebody else might be beside you, not add value at all to you. But I look for ways, and then number 4, I do things that add value to people. And then number 5, I encourage others to add value to people. I always tell leaders, close comes first. Close comes first. I want friends, I don't want fans. And if I want friends, then I have to walk with them. And I want to walk with them. And so until I can make a connection with you, and until you can know that my connection is sincere, I will impress you, but I won't impact you. We impact people close up. We impress people far away. And so I always tell leaders, start with close. And the reason you start with close is because young leaders aren't good enough to be far ahead yet. In fact, when I was a young leader, I wasn't ahead of anybody.
There are people that aspire to be leaders, and there are people that do stuff, and all of a sudden they're creating some kind of value, and there's stuff going on around, and then they find themselves in leadership roles, and then they find out that they've got a whole second career that they never planned on. Somebody's good at marketing or finance or technology, and they're just good at it, and they're creating value, and all of a sudden they find themselves leading a team or a department, and now they got a second career, and they have to get into this thing called leadership. And I think, a lot of us, it wasn't not like politicians who were running for office. You're just trying to do stuff. And so probably a lot of people just never really thought that was their job until they found out you better be aware that it is, and you do have to study it. One of the reasons that I love GLN and the whole world of leadership development is literally people at any level quickly better find out they do have 2 careers. They got whatever vertical they're in or field they're in, or organization or industry, but they are also in the field of leadership, and it's a discipline. You got to study it.
We'll seldom have the book. We're gonna write a short summary of all 5 and put it in the leader guide. You can go to life.church/leadership podcast, get the leader guide, and then we're going to put a link to the book, because what you're covering today, I think anybody can say this is so rich. I wish we had 5 hours to talk about this, and we're going to put a link to the book so people can find the book. One of the biggest problems with the problem is that most leaders don't know it's a problem. I kind of sound like Dr. Seuss, but this is true. The big problem is people don't know this is a problem. And if they do recognize the problem, they usually don't care until it's almost too late or too difficult to solve. So, what is the problem? Here is the problem, and it's a big problem. The problem is the odds are low that what you're leading will last. Let me say it again. The odds, they're very low that whatever you're leading now will last for years and years to come. Now, how's that for a downer way to start a podcast? It's not fun, but it's absolutely true. Whatever you're doing now that's working, it is less likely to work in the hands of future generations. And this is well documented in business and in families who've worked hard to create wealth. What I'm talking about is mindset. And we're going to look at 3 different generations when it comes to leading an organization. Let's talk first of all about Gen 1. Who is Gen 1? Gen 1 would be the leaders who build the business from the ground up, build the church, start the nonprofit. They are the first generation leaders that build something special. That's Gen 1. Then there are some of you, you're Gen 2. You entered the business or you entered the nonprofit relatively early, and you got to see some of what it took to build it. You contributed to it, but you didn't start it. You're not Gen 1, you're Gen 2. Then there's Gen 3. Over time, most people in most older organizations are Gen 3 or Gen 4. They entered late, and they didn't have the blessings of seeing what it took to actually build the organization. Gen 1 starts it, Gen 2 comes in a little later and appreciates it. Gen 3 comes in even later and doesn't necessarily understand what it took to get there, but they come in with a lot of blessings. Now, why are we talking about this? What is the problem? Well, the bad news is that only 12% of businesses make it to the 3rd generation. I want you to think about this. Whatever you're building today, the odds are very, very low that your business will even survive to the 3rd generation of leaders. And it gets even worse in the 4th generation. Only 4% of businesses make it to the 4th generation. And that's why I'm not happy to tell you, but I'm telling you, the odds are low that what you're leading will last. The same is true with families that create wealth. Generally speaking, wealth disappears by the 3rd generation and is gone forever.
A compassionate leadership is good leadership. Let's define this again. Compassion is care, kindness, especially the tendency to think about the needs and the good of others. To me, it's a state of mind, a state of emotion that drives us to act with kindness toward others. You can help your people develop. So as a leader, you may realize that the people you lead are really under your care. Your followers need your help in lots of ways, and you're there in many ways to serve them. So part of your job as a leader, maybe the most important part, is creating a culture where your people can thrive. They can become the best version of themselves. There's a connection here between empathy and compassion. Empathy is how you put yourself in the other person's shoes, and by doing so, you can identify with what their problems are and then step in to help them solve their problems. You don't solve it for them 100% as a leader. You don't want to get into that. So as a leader, you can see other people as whole human beings, and then you can help them with the challenges that they may face as they come up.